This is Blake Temez with the Blake Temez podcast, where I speak as a Catholic layman to Catholic laymen about missional living, wisdom cultivation, and legacy building in service of Christ and his bride, the Church. Thanks for being here. It's essential that the Church promote the dignity of labor and not set up a kind of dichotomy between work done for God on the one hand and work done for personal secular gain on the other hand. To make this point, I think about the work of Catholic entities like Opus Dei and their founder, Saint Josemaria Escriva, as well as Pope John Paul II and his writings about labor and its dignity, and how these different groups and the messages and movements that they promoted wanted everyone to be able to see that labor is something that enables us to be co-creators with God, that we present ourselves in God's image when we engage in work. This is related to passages in Scripture, when we see God's creative action, and again, it's a way of imaging God by being engaged in work. There has been in the Church, for various reasons, a division between worthwhile work, so to speak, like that work done for the Church or within the Church, and then all these other pursuits that are merely secular, quote unquote, and are of a lower rank. And that mentality can have a damaging effect on the experience, the understanding of the lay faithful in particular, when their work that is done to provide for their families, to promote the common good, is seen as essentially unworthy of being made an offering to God because it's not quote-unquote church work. And that false dichotomy can have an effect on how the clergy preach about work, how they speak about secular pursuits, and that can be at odds with the raising up of authentically lay apostles who recognize their work as being related to the vocation that they received from God and not being at odds with their life as a Catholic. Now, many might point out that there are jobs, that there are secular pursuits that are intrinsically ordered against the gospel and God's designs, and even if not intrinsically disordered, like proximally related to them. And that point stands. I hear that point. And so there are forms of work that are going to be unworthy, unbefitting of a Christian. There's obvious things when it comes to the realm of crime and ways of taking advantage of the vulnerable. And there can also be subtle ways that pursuits that are legitimate in themselves can become corrupted when, for instance, an employer neglects to offer a fair wage, or when an employee does not render their employer what is due by taking time or resources or other things from them in a manner that's unjust. And so there are those jobs that are intrinsically disordered because of their relationship to crime or the manipulation of the vulnerable. And then there's, of course, activities during work that can be corrupted. And so there's that problem to address. So with those caveats aside, there is an opportunity to retrieve the meaning of work in itself. And so whether you're acting as a teacher or in law or as an accountant or at a restaurant, whatever it might be, really any occupation, therapist, firefighter, I won't continue to list, but any of those jobs, any of those expressions of labor being associated with the creative and healing activity of God in the world. And so there being a real source of continuity between one's job and one's spiritual life, and that's available to any Christian, to any Catholic, regardless if their work takes place within the church or beyond it. And in fact, the proper arena of lay activity is in the secular order, to orient all things towards Christ. And that's an incredible task, an incredible opportunity. And so one that carries a lot of weight, a lot of dignity to it. And so those are some thoughts about labor when it comes to discussing these types of things with those that you mentor or minister to or act as missionaries towards. I encourage you to develop a mindset of seeing every good work, every act of labor as being a part of making one's entire life a living sacrifice to God, whether or not that means directly ministry in the church, right? And so that can be a way that you can encourage those that you work with to pursue excellence in the work that they've been given to do, and to not feel that it's less because it's not explicitly religious, so to speak, and to help them cultivate that awareness so that they can be an effective witness in their work precisely through doing their job and doing it well. So that's all for now. As always, thank you for your time and your attention. God bless you in all your efforts. Peace. If you're a young Catholic man or a mentor, missionary, or minister who works with them, or even just a concerned figure in their life, a parent, uncle, whoever it might be on the lookout for the release of a short guide that I'm putting together called Brothers by Blood: How to Forge a New Path for Catholic Manhood. In it, I'll expand on some of the topics in this podcast and give you some points of reflection to see about how you can be a part of a movement that empowers men and brings them to their full potential for their sake, and also for the benefit of the church, and by extension, the benefit of all society. So again, thank you for being a part of this, and look out for more information about the release of my guide in episodes to come.